Hello, I'm Kamali, taking you through some of the things people are talking about and some of the stuff they're sharing around the world on NewsFeed today.
I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it. And here's the other thing.
That's Trump denying climate change again, as report after report says it's happening, it's getting worse, and we need to do something about it. NASA lands a new toy on Mars. And what is the stankiest fruit on Earth? We'll tell you. On top of our newsfeed, climate change. Donald Trump's administration used the Thanksgiving holiday as cover to dump a toxic report about the US's and the world's future if we don't do something about climate change. Now, the report by America's best scientists came to a number of horrifying conclusions for anyone who would like to see the planet be habitable for the generations to come. But this is how Trump took it.
Yeah, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
Scientists have told their U.S. president climate change will devastate the country's economy. His response:
I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
The fourth National Climate Assessment states climate change will cost the U.S. economy $500 billion a year. People will be killed by high temperatures, increased tropical diseases, and poor air quality.
No, I don't believe it.
The president of the USA is consistent in his rejection of scientific findings, frequently claiming climate change is a hoax. In tweets, with words, and with actions.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord.
The U.S. science community's assessment of the perils facing our planet follows closely a UN report which predicted global devastation in 10 years unless humans act to change our habits.
No, I don't believe it.
The U.S. state of California recently faced a consequence of climate change. Wildfires destroyed towns and killed many. But this is what the president of the USA says.
I've seen it, I've read some of it, and it's fine. Yeah, I don't believe it. No, I don't believe it.
Many are now wondering what chance our planet has, while men like President Trump are making decisions.
And the effect of decisions made by men like Trump can be seen in the next few stories we want to tell you about. And they touch nearly every corner of the globe. From Australia, a country still addicted to coal, to China, the world's second biggest polluter, to Britain, a nation struggling to lose its dependence on fossil fuel, to South Africa, a nation unable to make the most of its potential to develop renewable energy, to Brazil, home to the lungs of the earth. Here, a report on the Amazon has found deforestation is continuing apace, worse than it's been for at least 10 years, and that an area the size of London was lost in the last 12 months. And Brazil's new president is similar to Trump in not supporting green energy policies. 1 million bees are said to have died in South Africa after being poisoned by farmers using chemicals on their crops. Without bees to pollinate their crops, they won't have them much longer. The United Kingdom is facing more hotter and drier summers. A new report found what happened this year in the UK will happen again and again. This summer's heatwave caused hundreds of extra deaths. A toxic chemical spill in China is said to be way worse than people initially thought. 69 tons of chemical C9 is said to have spilled into the sea near Quanzhou, making locals very sick. And the Australian Prime Minister is using his position to admonish school children who protest for his government to do more about climate change. For some reason, Scott Morrison thought it sensible to say he wanted more learning and less activism in schools, leaving children there to realise it's up to them to save the planet, not men like Morrison et al. Okay, let's have a look at some of the other things that have caught our eye on social media. Melania Trump posted this video, which has done 2 million views of the White House at Christmas. It's a bit much, don't you think? But it was those red trees which make little sense and look weird that had Twitter chattering. As @Papines pointing out, they look suspiciously like handmaids from the eponymous show about a dystopian USA. Merry Christmas, everybody! This video of a pastor at a church in the US flying on stage has gone super viral. It was posted by someone called Zenadria Liache Webb. The lift and harness apparently were put in by the church sponsors.
The simple question is this right here: are you ready? Are you ready for his return? Amen.
And this video of what looks like the worst hang gliding lesson in history is going viral on YouTube. It's from Austria, and the guy who posted it is called Gersk3. He says that his harness was never hooked up, so he had to hang on to the bar for 2 minutes and 14 seconds. I'm sure it was terrifying, but I do wonder why they didn't just land. This is the trailer for Aquaman. It stars the guy who was Lord of Horses in Game of Thrones, and now he looks to be Lord of Dolphins or Sharks or whatever. Aquaman is part of the DC cinematic universe, so expect to see future films with him and Superman and Batman. It's an origin story with the kind of CGI work we've come to expect from these big budget movies. Critics seem to like it, and my producer Louis is very excited. It's out on the 14th of December. Now, NASA have done it again. They've landed a device on a celestial body. This time it's Mars, this one can burrow into the planet, and this one has a Twitter account.
NASA's Curiosity rover used to be the most prolific tweeter on Mars, but no longer, because now it will have competition from its neighbour, the InSight lander. Its first tweet, a dusty picture of the red planet.
Touchdown confirmed.
Back on Earth, its human controllers were celebrating, Fortnite style. And it wasn't just them. Hashtag Mars landing was trending all over. The crew of the International Space Station congratulated NASA on the successful landing.
Extends our congratulations as well to our partners and friends at JPL.
The Martian movie welcomed InSight. And at the NASDAQ, NASA officials rang the closing bell. Back on Mars, the InSight lander started its mission by unfolding its solar panels. As for the Mars rover, it looks like it will get on with its newest neighbour just fine.
Now, there are calls to send people onto North Sentinel Island to retrieve the body of a missionary who was killed there last week. The people on the island are the last pre-Neolithic tribe on Earth, and the desire to protect them has to be weighed against the risks. Now, earlier I spoke to Bahar Dutt, who's an Indian journalist and environmentalist, and asked her why the body should be left where it is.
It almost seems preposterous to imagine that there are parts of the world which cannot be reached. But that is exactly what has happened in this corner of India, which is that this is really one of the last uncontacted tribes of the world. So while it may seem pretty normal to request that the body be retrieved, what we're talking about here is an island where no human being from the outside world has ever landed. There are a handful of anthropologists who have managed to make some minimal contact with this tribe. There have been incidents in the past in 2006 when fishermen went into the area, they were killed. This is a tribal group of which maybe there are just 50 to 100 members left. That's it. That's all that's left of their race. The Andamans, if you go there, it's an archipelago of 500 islands, 50 of which are inhabited. 5 primitive tribal groups that are found in that area. The Sentinelese are one of them. While most of the tribal groups in the Andamans have either got assimilated, the Sentinelese are still holding out to their way of life. They live off the island, they live off the natural resources of the island. Some of them are hunter-gatherers. They also fish. Even when the tsunami occurred in this area, they managed to, move to higher ground on those islands and managed to remain safe. We don't know the language of the Sentinelese. Communication is not strong. But in spite of that, just with that bow and arrow, they've said this is a different way of life which you may not be used to, but just leave us alone. I'm concerned that the police, which has been making many trips on their boats to the area, that has gone up. So we're hoping that the situation doesn't become hostile. The Indian government has in the recent past been, changing its hands-off policy which it had when it came to the Andaman and Nicobar Islands. There has been a number of legal notifications introduced which are aimed at introducing hotels and commercial interests in this biodiversity hotspot. So remember, it's not just primitive tribal groups that inhabit these islands. They're also home to a number of endemic species, Andaman gecko, or whether it's the Narcondam hornbill. These are species which are not found anywhere else in the world. If you open up ecologically sensitive areas to commercial interests, it's going to sound the death knell for these islands. I think the Andamans is a case in point. As I've been saying, this is not just a political story, it is an environmental story. How do we develop while at the same time maintaining our environmental indices in a positive way? That's the dilemma which the Indian government will have to face in the days to come. We need to leave and protect these islands the way they are, the way they have existed.
Okay, let's go around the world now for some other stories you need to know this Tuesday. A Syrian man who has been hiding out in an airport in Malaysia is going to be given asylum in Canada. Hassan Kontar has been living in the arrivals area of KL Airport for 7 months after being denied asylum in Ecuador, Cambodia and Turkey. He's been keeping his situation in the news through social media. The last 2 months of his time in Malaysia has been spent in detention. He doesn't want to go back to Syria because of the war and the fact that he's not completed military service, so could be conscripted into Assad's army.
For the last 8 years, it was hard, long journey. The last 10 months, it was very hard and cold. I could not do it without the support and the prayers from all of you.
Tunisia could soon become the first Arab country that writes into law that women should inherit an equal amount to men. It's controversial in Tunisia because equal inheritance would contradict Islamic law. The Quran states that men should, in some cases, inherit double that of a woman. According to the reporting, many Tunisians don't want the law to change, saying the law change is against the country's identity as a Muslim state. Now, driving an Uber is so dangerous in South Africa, the company is considering bringing in a panic button for drivers. They already have a feature that connects drivers to the closest private security response vehicle. The reporting says that Uber drivers are most in danger from metered taxi drivers. This move is an example of how the app and its use has to modify for its surroundings. In other parts of the world, panic buttons are coming in for passengers. And parents of small children and adults who like eating plastic bricks can all relax. Scientists have been eating Lego to see how long it takes to pass through the body. And thankfully, it's a couple days and won't do you much harm. Just don't eat the whole box. And a funky smelling fruit is getting more and more popular thanks to China. Have a look and be glad you don't have smell-o-vision.
This smells like shit.
Our sales has gone up 5 times compared to the past 5 years.
Not bad, actually.
And I hear it's pretty good. That's all from the NewsFeed team. Reach out to me with your questions, comments, complaints and suggestions. I'm at Kamali Melbourne. You'll find us 24/7 on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook. Follow, subscribe and add. See you again tomorrow.